This woman, the one who made a king bow before her, was the last chief royal mistress of the Bourbon dynasty, Jean, Comtesse du Barry. She made the playboy King Louis XV settle down, and he adored her for 19 years straight. Even as she aged and her beauty faded, she stayed by the king's side. But even a love like theirs wasn't destined for a happy ending. One day, Louis XV suddenly fell ill. Doctors diagnosed him with smallpox, a deadly and highly contagious disease at the time. With no effective treatment, bloodletting only made his weak body worse. But while the king's life hung by a thread, the ministers were more concerned with the question of succession. If the worst happened, his grandson Louis XVI would take the throne. As the king lay dying, the nobles schemed. They saw this as a chance to get rid of Jean, so they sent in a priest to pressure the king.
Sire, pour prouver votre repentir, il vous faut renoncer au scandale.
The message was clear. Jean had to go. To save himself, Louis XV made the painful choice to let her go.
J'ai peur de l'enfer, John. Je me dois à Dieu et à mon peuple. Il faut que tu te retires.
Jean, knowing it was over, silently packed her things and left the palace, where she'd once reigned in glory. The memories of her royal favor felt vivid and near, yet it all vanished in a blink. Sitting alone on her bed, Jean was hollow and lost. She sent her maid to check if the candles outside were still burning, because as long as the candles stayed lit, it meant the king was still alive. That was her last thread of comfort. The nobles, seeing Jean cast out, felt triumphant. But then, Jean changed her mind. She wanted to see the king one last time. Without Louis XV's protection, Jean had no voice. The nobles rejected her without hesitation, just as all hope seemed lost.
Laissez-la entrer.
It was the Dauphin, Louis XVI, doing her one final favor. Thanks to him, Jean was able to say goodbye. The two lovers sat in silence, their eyes full of tears, their hearts heavy with parting. After 19 long years together, then Jean left, leaving behind a Versailles that had never truly accepted her. No sooner had her carriage rolled away than the bells of Versailles tolled. King Louis XV was dead. A dazed servant stumbled out of the room. The nobles straightened up, waiting for confirmation. Sure enough, the servant blew out the candle. Louis XV was gone. The nobles removed their hats in solemn respect, mourning the king. Meanwhile, the heir, Louis XVI, was praying for his grandfather. The old king's death meant a new king's rise. And just like that, the same nobles who mourned the dead now rushed into the chapel to congratulate the new king. You could only see the smiling newcomers. No one looked back at the ones left behind. This was that truth laid bare. Thus Jean du Barry faded from the stage of history. The Dauphin exiled her to a convent. It seemed Jean would live out her days in silence. But fate had other plans. After Marie became queen, she lived lavishly, without restraint. This helped spark the French Revolution in 1789, and the boy Jean had once rescued and raised. Zamore joined the revolution. Fearing trouble, Jean begged him to leave the movement. He agreed on the surface, but secretly betrayed her, reporting her to the Revolutionary Council. Because of Zamore's false accusations, innocent Jean was sentenced to death for treason. The tale of the farmer and the snake played out once more. At age 50, Jean du Barry's short but dazzling life came to an end on the guillotine. This was the story of Comtesse Jean du Barry. Thank you all for watching and supporting.